بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله حمدا ونشكر شكرا ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم تسليما كثيرا مزيدا ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم ربي زدنا علما ورزقنا فهما سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم وفقنا بعلم وعمل بما تحب وترضى اللهم ارزقني إخلاصا في القول والعمل. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may this session be a means of salvation for the sins we have committed. Ameen. I also pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that for every second and minutes where we invest in to listen to this clip, may it be amongst the investment for you and me to draw closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I also pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may He grant me the ability to present and may He grant you the ability to understand. And whatever goodness solely lies in the hands of our Maker, and whatever evil I would like to ascribe to myself and then shaitan. Alhamdulillah, praises and thanks to be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has given us another opportunity to understand better about His religion in these episodes of Nurturing a Vibrant Muslim Society. Hope everyone had a good week and will have a much more fruitful weeks ahead of you. During our last session, I discussed related to a Muslim and our own self. How do we need to take care of ourselves? How do we need to continuously maintain our physical self, which is keeping neat and tidy, the appearance wise, how we need to present ourselves in the public and also in the private setting with our own family members, and how do we need to continuously retain a healthy lifestyle, not only because we want to appear not only that we want to appear in front of the public with a physical healthy body. However, when you and I are presenting ourselves in front of our Maker, when we are standing on the sajada, on the praying mat, presenting ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we want to be in the most best physical state. And continuing from where I paused last session, today we would like to explore on the mind. And it is obligatory for every Muslim to acquire knowledge. Knowledge is an obligation and an honor for every Muslim. As every Muslim believes that exercising his mind and seeking knowledge and discovering the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the universe is an obligation, because there is a very profound saying of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam where you and I might be aware of is talabul ilmi fariidatun ala kulli Muslim. Seeking knowledge is a duty on every Muslim, and as such the Muslim must continue to pursue knowledge. And a value where I always like to remind myself and remind those people around me is the 3L. What is the 3L? Lifelong learning. Lifelong learning. As long as we are living in this life, this is an opportunity and a favor from our Maker. It's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are living in this life. And the treasure of our life is when we are continuously discovering about ourselves and discovering about the things surrounding us through the knowledge where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided us with. Knowledge can be the knowledge of the revelation and concurrently the knowledge or to build a better society. So as such, both knowledge are important. One knowledge is for the upliftment of spirituality, and at the same time, when and if the person is able to get the understanding to use the revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in its right context, then they are able to build a better society. However, some amongst them are not given the privilege and the opportunity to understand or comprehend completely about the revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As such, they may be able to contribute from the societal knowledge, how in understanding how a society should be built, the technicality which involve in building the technicality in behind building and nurturing a better society for the future, and what we need to have what we need to have to build a better society is by continuously acquiring knowledge. And knowledge is not a one-time off. Like how we would nourish ourselves continuously by eating different meals a day. Some amongst us eat twice, or some amongst us might eat 3 times, some amongst us might eat even 5 times a day. Some amongst them eat breakfast, and then you have your brunch, and then you might have your lunch, you might have your tea time, you might have your dinner. Some amongst them have even supper. Why? If you talk from the health perspective, amongst the health tips is to eat small portion of food but regularly, so that you might keep up with a good health. Now, what more about exercising our mind? So as Muslims, it is highly regarded upon the Muslim to continuously exercise our mind by reading. And there is a Arabic saying which means that the best friend throughout our life is book. What it means is, even when you're alone, when you're having your downtime in your life, you're always you and I always able to count upon the books. The books will be amongst the means for a person to grow in the understanding of knowledge. And if you talk about knowledge, there are speculative knowledge, there are certainty knowledge, and knowledge has its own branches. Hereby, in order for us to grow the society, what we need is the knowledge of certainty, the knowledge which will be able to develop a better nation and generation which will come after us. So as such, acquiring knowledge is pursuing knowledge is very important, as long as the breath of life remains in his body. The fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has raised the status of those who acquire knowledge and describe them alone as truly fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be enough to encourage the Muslims to apply himself to seeking knowledge. May Allah say, "Innama yakhshallahu min ibadihi ulama." Innama yakhshallah. The one who is mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the servant who continuously acquire knowledge. And the more he acquires knowledge, the more humble the individual should get. Because he have tasted that I've learned this subject, now there is more to it. As such, he would be mindful of what he is delivering. He is mindful of the entire ocean which is out there in comparison with what he have learned. Because the reason why a servant is mindful is because he starts to realize that When you and I open a book, and when we start to read through the book, you are so amazed by, I thought this is how this should be. However, the way it is being presented is very different from the way it's being operated or the way I perceive it. And then you realize that what previously you know something, now that you have read, right now you start to feel that you actually you actually do not know much from the way you perceive it previously. Basically, you know little, right? And then you start to realize that, oh, if I know right now like this amount of knowledge, then there should be much more than what I have acquired over the period of time, or what I've understand previously. Now, no one truly fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except those whose mind are enlightened enough to see the greatness and the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala manifested in the creation of the universe and all living things. And these are the people of knowledge. So He has preferred them over those who have no knowledge. Allah says in the Quran, "Kul hal yastawi alladhina ya'lamuna walladhina la ya'lamun innama yatadhakkaru illa ulul albab." Are those who are equal? Now Allah is asking a rhetorical question: those who know and those who doesn't know. A person who knows is the one who would refrain himself from getting into a person who is aware and who's knowledgeable would not get himself into a mess. A person who's unaware of the actual knowledge is the one who likes to get into a mess, because a person who truly knows a thing, who truly comprehends a matter, would then refrain himself from getting into trouble. Safwan bin Asal al-Muradi came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the mosque and said, "Ya Rasulullah, I've come seeking knowledge." The Prophet told him, "Welcome, O seeker of knowledge. Truly, the angels surround the seekers of knowledge with their wings, gathering around him in ranks one above the other until they reach the first heaven out of love for that which he seeks." The text then extol the virtue of knowledge, exhort in pursuit are many. Therefore, the true Muslim is either a scholar or seeker of knowledge and cannot be anything else. When you know the virtues and the merits of seeking knowledge, then you would literally hurry up yourself by finding for opportunities to continuously nourish yourself with knowledge, nourishing your mind and nourishing your heart. And continuously seeking knowledge until death is something where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highly encourages. He highly encourages a person to continuously seek knowledge. True knowledge does not mean obtaining a degree or diploma that will let one earn an income and guarantee a good standard of living. What we have today is people are acquiring knowledge just because they want to achieve shahada, sijil, a certificate, and for them to post up in the social media that I have obtained such and such certificate, I have obtained, and now it has become so commercialized. People have just put up that I've done 2 years of tafsir program in here and I've obtained this shahada. I've done a 6 months course in such and such institution. I've obtained the certificate. That does not endorse the person to give religious verdict without them knowing the without them knowing the actual problem, or without them knowing the actual fundamentals of how to come into a conclusion. The point here is, without having the intention that a person is learning for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just to obtain certificate and then immediately come up and give verdict, that is not creating society. That is amongst the means for the destruction of a society. A person who is aware that why he or she is learning is because they want to continuously draw themselves closer to Allah. When we talk about the knowledge of revelation, it is amongst the means to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the reason why a person should learn. But today what it has become, or what it has turned to, is people have commercialized. Everyone wants to take that chair, everyone wants to take that seat, everyone wants to come up front, and particularly when the person is not even well trained and does not know the actual root of the knowledge, or he might not even converse in the language where the Quran was revealed upon, which is Arabic. He does not know the technicality behind the Arabic, and immediately he or she takes the front seat and then wants to immediately voice out on an opinion when he does not even know how that individual come into that opinion. And here we are just opening the doors for more people to voice up with drivers or with mechanisms such as social media out there, where everyone is able to voice out. Anyone is able to voice out without them knowing the consequences and repercussions of their statement where they are making. A person who's aware, a person who's mindful that he will be questioned upon on the day of judgment is the one who refrain himself from talking a point which he may or he will be questioned upon on the day of judgment. So what is the purpose of you learning? Is it just to get popularity? Is it for you to get fame? Is it for you to get likes and hearts? Is that why the companion Ridwanullah alayhim put in their effort during their lifetime? There must be, everyone have an intention, and everyone starts with a good intention. It's only over the period of time their intention starts to wave away. The intention starts to sway away from the actual reason why they started studying, why they started to acquire knowledge. And there are amongst them who just acquire the knowledge for the wrong reason. And why did the companions seek knowledge? Because they want to earn the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they were the people who would always say, Allahu wa Rasuluhu a'lam. And if I were to ask anyone amongst us, what is the meaning of Allah wa Rasuluhu a'lam? You would translate to me, oh, only Allah and Rasul. Oh, no, that is not the actual, that is just a translation, but that is not the actual interpretation of Allah wa Rasuluhu a'lam. And today you will find within the scholars, they will say Allahu a'lam, Allahu a'lam. Now the Prophet have passed away. Now you and as such we need to say Allahu a'lam, Allah knows. Allah knows. What it means is, what the interpretation of Allahu a'lam is, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you the ability to understand in or on the to understand in the topic in order for you to practice it in the future. When a person poses you a question, when you say Allahu a'lam, what it means is, may Allah give you the ability to comprehend on the topic in order for you to become the practitioner of that particular knowledge. That is called Allahu a'lam. It is just not merely saying Allahu a'lam, Allah knows best, and then you take your seat, or using it as a reason to move away. No. The entire purpose, it is a dua, it is a supplication on its own. So as such, we all, reminding myself first before reminding anyone, that as a Muslim, why do we learn? Why do we acquire knowledge? With the right mentality, that it is a gateway for me to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if a person have that mentality, or if the person purifies his intention towards that goal and that aim, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would bless his seconds and minutes, and it will turn out to be an investment of a ROI, return of investment, in the near future. And as such, true knowledge, this is why true knowledge does not mean obtaining degree or diploma, because that will let one to earn in income and guarantee a good standard of living, after which one turns away from learning and does not explore the treasure of knowledge any further. True learning means the one continuous to read and study, increasing one's learning day by day. Allah says in the Quran in Surah Taha, قال ربي زدني علما. قال ربي, oh my nurturer, oh my nourisher, zidni, increase in my knowledge. It's a dua. Our righteous predecessors never stopped seeking to increase their knowledge, no matter how high a level of learning they had achieved. They would continue their pursuit until the end of their life. They believed that knowledge was a living thing that would thrive if it were actively pursued, but would wither and perish if it were ignored and abandoned. Now, many sayings are attributed to them that eloquently express their respect for learning and their keenness to acquire knowledge. And amongst it is Imam Ibn Abdul Barr reported that Ibn Abi Ghazan said, so long as you are seeking knowledge, you are knowledgeable. But as soon as you abandon this pursuit, you become ignorant. Imam Malik, he said, no one who has knowledge should stop seeking knowledge. And one of my favorite qawl and a person where I look up to is Abdullah ibn Mubarak, where he said, when Abdullah ibn Mubarak was asked, how long will you seek knowledge? He said, until I die. For probably I have not yet learned the things that will benefit me the most. How profound is the statement of Abdullah ibn Mubarak? One thing is because, alhamdulillah, I have this special inclination for this particular Imam, Abdullah ibn Mubarak, and his words are also very profound, where I've not yet learned the things that will benefit me the most. Why do we acquire knowledge? Because we want to practice. Now, this amount of knowledge you have learned today, right? And then you try to reflect upon it, you think, and basically sitting on it. And then you figuring out ways, how can I turn this knowledge into practice? Now, what about a new knowledge you're going to learn in the near future? Even when you're 60, you're 70, people have this mentality, saya dah tua dah, dulu saya belajar dengan ustaz ini ke ustaz itu ke, people always like to give this kind of remarks. It is not about your age, right? It is about that knowledge where you acquire can be that amal, that action you're going to do, which may be the key for your admission into paradise. You might not have learned it previously, but you have just learned it today. Or you might have heard it previously, but your mind wasn't equipped with the processor to comprehend and to analyze that knowledge which you had learned previously. Some things you might have heard it when you are 16 years old, 15 years old, when you attended the part-time madrasa, but when you grow older, later you start to realize that, oh, this is what it means, and then you're able to apply it in a later part of your life. So it is, and sometimes people say that, I already studied the topic about wudu, I already studied the topic about, salah, and they recklessly just leave the topic because they have attended 1 or 2 seminars. Scholars used to sit for that topic for 6-7 months, or even a year, or some even few years before they are able to practice the knowledge and to perfect it. You will see a makcik who's making nasi lemak. She doesn't make once. She keep on doing and doing. And even when she is at her best, she will still try to fine tune to something which is better. And you'll find it in the food industry today. When you watch some episodes on TV in Channel 5, this Singapore chef show, which is being where people try to this Singapore chef show, if I'm not wrong, I may be wrong, but basically it's about that trying to find for the best chef, and you find that amongst the lifestyle of the chef is trying to do the same dish he have done previously in order for him to give a better taste and a better look to present it to the end consumer. Keep on doing it, and it can be so boring, but they keep on doing it. Why? They want to perfect it. Now, what more about the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is supreme, way more perfect than what any individual can think of. And you have other scholars like Imam Abu Amr ibn al-Ala was asked, for how long does it befit a man to seek knowledge? He said, for as long as he has life in him. Imam Sufyan ibn Uyayna gave an excellent answer when he was asked, who is most in need of seeking knowledge? He said, those who have the most knowledge. What was his answer? Those who have more knowledge. He was asked why, and he replied, because if they make mistake, it is worse. The more knowledge we acquire, it is not for us to show off. It is for us to realize that now we need to acquire more knowledge so that we are able to deliver better, and for us to refrain, to minimize in our mistakes. So inshallah, in the upcoming series, we would explore more on this topic of continuously seeking knowledge in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hopefully what I have delivered today is beneficial for me and beneficial for you. Whatever goodness only lies in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever evil I would like to ascribe to myself and the shaitan, aqulu ma tasma'un. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'anil azim wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bima fihi min al-ayati wa dhikril hakim wa taqabbala minni minkum tilawa innahu huwas samiul alim. Aqulu qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa li sa'iril muslimin wal muslimat wal mu'minin wal mu'minat fastaghfiru fa ya fawzul mustaghfirin wa ya najat at-ta'ibin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal 'asri innal insana fi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus solihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.